Hello, hello. Hey, good morning. Is this mic working? 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me? Start of my rap career. Hello. Well, I'm naturally loud anyway, but I'm sure we need the mic for the interpreters. So we're trying to be inclusive, not exclusive. Can the interpreters hear me? Can I? Fantastic. I see a thumbs up. Good morning, everyone. Hey, wow. Let's try that again. Good morning, everyone. Please, let's match energies. Yes, let's match energies. And it's still the morning. You haven't eaten lunch yet. Have you eaten breakfast? Fantastic. Have you had your coffee? African tea. Was it properly spiced? Sheraton, feedback. All right. So welcome, everyone. Lovely to see all your beautiful faces. Let's check out who's in the room. Are my Kenyans here? Kenyans? Wow. Usually Kenyans are like, what happened? Where? Maybe let me start again. Are my Kenyans in the room? Karibu, Karibu. They were sleeping. I do know they're in the room, so let's see if they're awake. It's South Sudan in the room. It's okay. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Wait now. Sudan. You're a winner already. I can see it. You brought the energy. Okay. Do we have Somalia in the room? You tried. We're coming. Somaliland. You do too. You're from yes, you're Pan-African. Okay. Ugandans. I trust my people. They can never leave me hanging. As an honorary Ugandan. Let's see. What am I missing? Ethiopia. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Oh, Botswana. Where? I'm coming to me. We are the last. We are the last. Who else am I missing? Welcome me. Nigeria doesn't carry last. We are here. Gambia. Okay. Auntie, where are you from? Where are you from? US. US. Yay. Germany. My sister over there. Where are you from? MENA region. All right, welcome everybody. If you were not mentioned, we still love you. Nobody is stateless, nobody is illegal. You are welcome. Thank you for being here. And my people online, welcome. Come as the original Nigerian myself. Welcome. And so welcome everybody, and thank you for letting Nigerians come and support this work. We're very, very happy to be here. So Nigeria, because we love Pan-Africanism as Nigerians. So wherever Africans are, we are there. And me, wherever feminists are. So really glad to be in the room with feminists, because any day you start the day with feminists, it's a beautiful day already. No matter what happens, we're here. So does anybody know why we're here? Do you know why we're here? He's looking at me like, do you know why we're here? Why are we here? Clap for him. So here we are here to launch something very beautiful. Something that started has been going on for a year. It's around advancing family law reform in Africa. And we're here because we want to build a regional feminist alliance for justice and equality. Isn't that a beautiful thing? It is. It is. So we're really glad to be here. And we're glad that they're opening this alliance and getting new members because, always important to mention an African proverb. If you want to go fast, does anybody know what? If you want to go fast, wow, you people don't know African proverbs. Go alone. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together, right? So that's why we're here, so we can go together, so we can't go alone. But because I'm not the expert on exactly this alliance or what's going on, so I'm going to call somebody I believe we all know and love. She's not new to us, but she's through to this. We're going to call Lynette, and she's the coordinator for the African Law Network. If you don't know her, she oversees and coordinates the interventions of the network in trying to build this regional alliance, in trying to support collective action to family law reform in Africa. She's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and also a sociologist. Wow. That's very, very impressive. And she's a graduate of the University of Nairobi, and she's using this training to be able to drive us to common action. She's worked with faith communities, she's led various campaigns, so she's the perfect person to come and tell us why we're here. Please welcome Lynette. Put your phone down. Clap. Thank you. Thank you. Lynette, over to you. You have 5 minutes. I'm timing you.
Ooh, okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's such a beautiful day for us as the Africa Family Law Network. Buki gave me 5 minutes. I wish I could speak more, but since we also have our directors today, I think they have the better history and institutional memory. So you'll just allow me to give you a brief introduction of the Africa Family Law Network, which is a result of consultations from the year 2020. The founding members, who include Equality Now, SIHA, Musawa, and Femnet, have had the vision to build an inclusive movement of national and regional actors for collective action to change discriminatory family laws in Africa. So what began as consultations in 2020 with like-minded stakeholders led to the launch of AFLN in 2022. And this event was attended by 60 reform actors from over 23 countries in Africa. So this journey has brought us here today, and since then we've been doing quite some work. We've been convening diverse reform actors from the continent. We've engaged in different spaces within the African Union mechanisms, and also we've been able to organize ourselves internally so that today we can be able to open up for membership. So today we are celebrating that evolution from a foundational partnership of the 4 partners into a continental movement. We are looking forward to engage with legal practitioners, activists, scholars, and faith-based actors towards progressive law reform in Africa. So I'll request Ronnie to just quickly go through the slides. I know we'll have questions, but I'll request that if we can note down the questions, and then after the conversation with the directors, we'll be answering all the questions. So Ronnie, we can go to the slides. So as I mentioned, we have 4 founding partners who we are really proud of, and they bring in their particular expertise. We have Equality Now, who support the network in terms of legal resources and strategic litigation. Femnet, who are really strong on coalition building. and Siha, who are really strong on the protection of women and girls in the Horn of Africa, and Musawa with Muslim family laws and also knowledge building. So our partners have been very, very supportive, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from them later and seeing how they'll be supporting also the member organizations that once we open up. Next slide. So our vision is an Africa where family laws and practices guarantee equality in line with regional and international human rights standards. And this is important because our overall goal is ensuring that in Africa, all women and girls are able to enjoy equality, dignity, justice under family laws and practices in line with government's obligations and regional and international human rights standards. So we are trying to ensure that there is that collective action in the protection of women and girls from a social perspective, from a legal perspective, a cultural perspective, and also ensuring that government obligations are also being honored. Next slide. Next slide. Our objectives, one of our objectives as a network is to build and sustain an inclusive movement for collective action towards family law reform, and that's why we are here today. I need to slow down. I'm trying to capitalize on 5 minutes. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So our second objective is to ensure that family law reform is a priority issue, especially at the regional level with the AU mechanisms, and also at the national level. I think in the course of this conference, this forum, we've been talking about the different family law bills that are still pending in different countries, especially within the Horn of Africa. So we need to ensure that family law reform is a priority issue. To be a credible source of collective expertise, our partners have been publishing works on family laws and also on Muslim family laws for a considerable number of years. So we need to ensure that when you think about family law reform, you see us as the resource hub that you need to come to get your questions answered. And of course, that we'll be able to support and collaborate with national level groups and activists to advocate for family law reform. So we are looking to be able to push forward what national actors are already doing on the ground. Next slide. So in terms of our strategic priorities, one is movement building, and again, that's why we are here today. We want an inclusive network of national actors and national organizations so that we can be able to strengthen our collaboration efforts and our collective action on family law reform. And then on advocacy, I'm sorry, the text is outside the slide, but that's okay. In terms of advocacy, we are looking towards collective action, especially from the grassroots level to the regional level. Whatever the conversations are at the grassroots level, they are able to reach the regional level. And whatever decisions are made at the national level are also informed to the grassroots level, so that, you know, that enhancement of all our actions is able to bring about social change and shifting mindsets. We are looking towards knowledge building so that we have toolkits, we have resources, we have manuals, and you can always reach out to us whenever you need thoughts or strategies on advocacy, on how to approach governments, on how to approach, decision makers or different actors. And definitely strategic communication. We need to be very particular on how we are communicating our work, how we are, what narratives are out there about family role reform, and how do we want to change those narratives that are already out there. So this is one of the things we'll also be working on. Next slide. So in terms of also us engaging national organizations, we want you to be able to access spaces that you're already accessing or that you have not been able to access. So our work is to come in and help you access those spaces. Another element is ensuring that we are utilizing the national spaces and conversations with the support of AFLN, and not coming in as a regional body or as the experts, but listening to you and helping that your voices are heard. And of course, that all efforts are at the national level from the first instance. So there is an element of co-creation, and there's an element of listening to what are your priorities, what are your needs, and how can we work together to ensure that we are working together on this. And then ensuring that we're also consulting you on strategic decisions and thematic convenings that will be related to your national campaigns on actions. So we are here to facilitate the work that you're already doing. We are here to interest you to join the work on family law reform, because we believe that if we are able to change family laws for the better, our societies will be better. We'll have solved a lot of the issues, whether it's on economic rights, whether it's on governance, political participations. We need to start with family law reform, and that's why we are here today. Next slide. So just allow me to recognize the vision carriers that have been part of this process. We are so proud of our directors. We have Pfizer from Equality Now, Sama from Musawa, and we have Memory from Femnet, and we have Hala from SIHA. So we are really grateful to our vision carriers who conceptualized these and have continued to give us the strategic direction. And then next slide. And then we have the strategy working group, which is really the technical arm of AFLN. They've been the engine helping us move along, ensuring that we have the right documentation and we're executing what the directors have guided us on. We have Esther and Deborah from Equality Now, Rehema and Gofran from Musawa, Muthoki from Femnet, and Susan from SIHA. So we are really, really grateful to the Strategy Working Group and the Directors Forum for their continued support to us. So thank you very much, Buki. I hope that was 5 minutes. And please, if you have any questions, just note them down. We'll answer them. I'm sure the directors will also answer them within their conversation. So thank you very much and welcome.
Okay, thank you. Can we clap for Lynette again? Yes, you did very well on time, and you gave us a lot of information at that. So just a reminder that there is translation for Amharic, French, Somali, and Arabic. And so you can join, but if you speak French or this is the day you want to learn French, you can join the Zoom so that you can continue your French lessons. All right, great. So like they said, if you have any questions, please just note it down. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to have a conversation with the founding partners. But before I call people to the stage, I just want to check. Hala, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm there.
Fantastic. Loud and clear. We love it. Thank you. All right, Memory, are you there? Maybe you can give me a thumbs up, a heart.
Yes, I'm there.
Oh, hi, Memory. Welcome. Great. So now I'm going to call the directors. I'm going to start with Faiza. And yes, please welcome her. And then I'm also going to call Sama. Please come to the stage. Welcome, welcome. And while they come, do we have mics? Do we have mics for them? Fantastic. All right. Can you help with the mic? Thank you, thank you. So I'm just going to ask them a few questions, and then you all also get to ask them a few questions as well. So please let's pay attention so that I know that you're listening. Cool? Are we in agreement? Wow. I think people are on their phone. All right, so Faiza Mohammed is a leading voice in Africa on delivering legal equality for women and girls. She oversees the strategic development, intergovernmental relations, along with program development and outreach. She's originally from Somaliland, but you didn't do when we speak. She has over 20 years of experience working with international organizations, many of them you're aware of. She's also an active member of the women's movement, and she's been very critical to developing a range of women's organization with a focus on peace, gender equality, and advocacy for women's rights. For many of you, who many people know SOA in this room? Yes. So that means, yes, exactly. Exactly. Solidarity for African Women's Rights Coalition. As you know, she plays an active role there in upholding the Maputo Protocol, and she serves on many boards. I could read Pfizer's bio for a very, very long time, so please give her a round of applause as well. And then also we have Miss Sama Hadid, who's the Global Executive Director of Musawa. She has experience in international development, human rights, humanitarian affairs. She's championed right protections in challenging contexts, has advised many UN agencies, feminist organizations on women's rights advocacy. Before she joined Musawa, she was a senior manager at Amnesty, Oxfam, Norwegian Refugee Council, covering operations across the Middle East and East Africa. And she's also served as a country director for Global Citizens. So lovely to have you here. All right, and also just going to quickly read Hala's bio as well. We all know her as a Sudanese advocate for democracy and also a figure in African feminism. She has over 2 decades of experience in Sudan, South Sudan, Eastern Africa, and the Horn. And she does a lot of work in international and regional development and human rights institutions, concentrating on the conditions of women and girls in conflict and post-conflict settings, and also on social and economic rights of women and women who lived in militarized areas as well. We all know she's the regional director of SIHA and contributes to the rights of and empowerment of women and girls in the region. We also have Memory Kachabwa, who is the executive director of African Women's Development and Communications Network, FEMNET. How many of you are members of FEMNET? Wow, we need more members. Come on. And she is a Pan-African feminist leader recognized amongst the apolitical top 100 women in gender policy. She has extensive experience in advancing gender equality, climate, economic justice, and has led regional and global feminist advocacy through She Decides, NGO CSW, Generation Equality. And she's all about dismantling systems of oppression and driving transformative feminist policies. So we're going to have a great conversation today. All right, so I'm going to start with you, Faiza. Is that okay? Fantastic. So drawing on your experience on movement building, especially within equality now and SOA, and the work on the Maputo Protocol, the engagement with the African Union mechanisms, and that work. And we know that family law is really, really critical and really important. So how do we ensure it remains a priority? How do we mitigate the influences, especially from the anti-rights movement, that are forcing a rollback on the gains that we're trying to make? And why, because of that, should then people in this room, outside this room, online, should join this alliance? Over to you.
Thank you. Well, first, at Equality Now, believe that the law is critical for leveling the field for equality to be enjoyed by all citizens. And family law reform is therefore critical because we have seen many types of discrimination that's taking place in existing laws, and that's the whole aim of addressing family law reform, the call for family law reform. Yes, it's not possible for one organization to do, to lift the whole things that need to be done. The continent is vast. We need to work together to, address this once and for all. And so that's why it's important to come together as a coalition. We have seen what the Solidarity for African Women's Rights Coalition has done together over the past 20 years, more than 20 years actually. The coalition has been working to advance the rights of women in Africa using the Maputo Protocol, an additional protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. And we have seen other networks similarly coming together around particular issues. Family law is critical at this time because we have seen that there is an ongoing momentum from the anti-rights movement who are attacking the gains we have made so far and the gains we need to gain more as we go on. Because it's a critical time where we are weak in terms of resources, where we are also seeing shrinking spaces in many countries. So it becomes more and more inevitable that we stay together in solidarity and in union to push to move forward, and it's only possible collectively if we do it. So there are many ways we can do this, and it's great that we have young people with us because they're more innovative, I would say, and would help some of us to reflect better in terms of solutions. So that's what I would say.
Thank you so much for that, Faiza. Hopefully people online, you can hear us, right? Yes? Great. Yes, can you do a thumbs up? Can we get some hearts, some flowers? Oh, fantastic. Thank you to that one person. I'll give you candy at some point. But thank you so much for that, and I think it's quite important. How many people are feeling young in the room? Young and innovative? Fantastic. Good, good, good. Because we do need you, as you mentioned with the anti-rights. And I think the truth of the matter is that family law is one of the frontiers in which we're seeing that fight, right? We're seeing the dismantling of the issues around gender, around inclusion, around diversity. We're seeing more and more even the attack on them passing family policies without actually reforming the existing laws. Many of them were colonial, right? It wasn't even designed by us. We inherited them, and they still remain on the books. So I think this is a very critical conversation, and I think which brings me to the question to you, Sama, about why does family law matter? Why should we create a network just for family law? And based on Musawa's work in the region, what opportunities do you think exist?
Thank you so much, and really important questions. And we have to go back, right, constantly when we're talking about this really technical and legal topic, let's be honest. What does it mean for us as women, primarily, who bear the brunt of these discriminatory laws, because they are discriminatory against us as women and girls, and why it matters? Well, as a woman, and women who are born into contexts where these family laws are based on discrimination and patriarchal interpretations of our religion and our culture and colonial legacies as well. So we are forced into these situations where, we don't have a right to choose who we get to marry. We don't have a right to choose when we marry. Girls are forced into early marriage and forced marriage. Family laws have left us feeling economically vulnerable, where we don't have access to financial rights in divorce or other financial rights, where we don't have access to equal inheritance, right? These are big, big issues. And they don't just affect women and girls. Of course, they have been used to harm women and girls in our context, but they also affect men and the unity in the family. Right? The ability for families to develop, to flourish, to thrive, in a united way based on compassion and justice and dignity for all. So I would say that family law and reforming family law is not just a human rights issue. It's a justice issue. It's a development issue. It's one that everyone should care about, including men and boys. And governments, therefore, need to take it seriously, right? Because if we don't reform these laws, we are holding our societies back. That's why it matters. And now the urgency in this time of backlash, where we've seen some really good reforms take place, some in a small way, but those reforms now are at threat. They're at risk of being rolled back. I mean, child marriage is now being discussed now. We thought that was a settled topic. Now it's back on the table. So this is a very serious time, and we need to mobilize together. And that's the point of this network. That's the power of this network. Because as you said, Faiza, we can't do this alone. No one advocate, no one organization, no one network can do this alone. We have to come together and be strategic. And I would also say something else about Musawa's approach. We engage head on with religious arguments. It's not enough to just rely on rights-based arguments or human rights arguments. These arguments are important. These are standards we must all adhere to. But we also have to challenge the way our religion is being misused against us as women. From the Musawa perspective, we focus on the way Islam is misused, is co-opted and abused by authorities and by leaders to discriminate against us as women. So we're reclaiming our religion back, right? We're reclaiming the concepts of justice and equality and compassion that are inherent in Islam and Islamic legal tradition, and using these arguments to reform these discriminatory laws. So we need to use different arguments now to get our messages across and to appeal to different communities so that we can sustain this support for family law reform. And ultimately, the vision is that we just want families and family units that are free from violence, that are free from harm, where family law is there to protect and heal, not as a source of harm and discrimination. That's the vision, and I think we got to keep hammering this point. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sama. I think every point both you and Faiza have made is really critical for us to remember as we continue to think about this. Because now more than ever, we're living in societies in which the ways in which our families are constituted is not the ways in which our legal frameworks are being developed. Right? They're not recognizing the kinds of families that we have. They're borrowing from the West that a family is a man, a woman, 2.5 children, and a dog. I don't even know when bingo joined the family units, but those are the laws that have been made. But we know that we have female-headed households. We have older parents-headed households. We have disability-headed households. We even have children-headed households in conflict settings and things like that. And I think it's quite important for us to remember that, because it's really interesting that you can call anybody your aunt, and now we're thinking it has to be by blood, but we know that those all differ in our cultures. Our families are bigger than what we created it for, and that every member of that family should be protected, should have dignity, and that religion can be used for a force of good, not for a force of harm. So thank you so much for that. Hala, we're coming to you live and direct from Kampala. You ready?
Absolutely, I'm here.
Fantastic. Thank you. So just want to get your thoughts after listening to Faiza and listening to Samha and the work that you're doing in Horn of Africa. And maybe you can really help us locate it in the conflict and the post-conflict settings. In that, how do we think about the protections that need to exist under family law? And especially because, we live in countries where our laws are not only the justice system, the way we look at it in terms of the Western, but we also have customary, traditions. We also have, different justice systems. For example, I grew up in Nigeria and Sharia law became a thing, right? And so, when we have all of these different legal systems, legal justice systems, what role do you think the Alliance can play in really maybe helping to bring some kind of synchronization, complementarity into this justice system that actually advances dignity and equality? Over to you, Hala.
Thank you so much, Bouquet. And I'd really like to appreciate the interventions by both Faiza and Samah. I think, first of all, it is my strong belief that, a just and equal family law and family traditions are the foundations of women's peace and security. And they are also the foundations of women's rights. And the fact that, we keep separating issues from each other's, I think it did us more harm than good. And I do remember, and I'm saying this, and I remember my conversation with the South Sudanese woman, in WOW, where she had an office, and she was telling me that, we are here struggling with domestic violence. We're struggling with intimate partners violence, sexual violence, from all over. And we have a peacekeeping missions that, the UN has a peacekeeping mission in South Sudan, who does not think that our experiences and what we are going through is part of their operations, is part of keeping the peace, and this is extremely unfortunate, because when you speak about peace, when you speak about stability, when you speak about good governance, when you speak about, protections of communities, it all starts, with a just and equal family law that provides respect and protections for women and girls, and this is where the violations starts. This is where masculinity turns to become toxic. This is where dehumanizations of women happens. And this is where women are humiliated and violated at conflict and post-conflict circumstances. And even, when there is no conflict, if, with the current status we have, if we think about it carefully, there is no peace. We're not safe. We are targeted and always assumed our humanity is being undermined. So that's really very, very important, is to connect synergies and to look at family law from a political perspective and a political angle. And the fight for just and equitable family law and family and traditions, and culture, because it's also about, it's not only about the law, but it's about shifting, all the context in terms of behavior and attitude and perception. And that's a huge homework, that we need to cater for, because it's our experiences in many countries that changing the law, it's not enough, because the law can be changed back, or the law can be there, but it's never applied. And so it's approaching it from through a political angle, and approaching it through a movement angle, and also as as a matter of sovereignty, introducing the principles of equality within family law through our education system, through our health system. It should be integrated into every aspect, because and I'm going to borrow a quote from Zaina Anwar, one of the founders of Musawa, this is where we should be decoding, or the decoding of patriarchy. It's lying there on decoding the DNA of patriarchy. It's lying within the the unjust family law. And to do that, I don't think as women we need to, as Samah said, we need to hold back from interrogating, and reconstructing, how religion is being interpreted, um, typically by patriarchal forces and by forces who has no interest in egalitarianism, on women's equality. So that's very important. We have to interrogate culture. We have to interrogate concepts of commodifications of women, and so on, because the issue of injustice within the family system, and within the personal relationship, this is what leads to instability. And we have also to argue and challenge the bilateral and multilateral institutions about their narrow visions to aspects of women, peace and security. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hala. I think something that, please tap. Thank you. Thank you. And I think it's quite important what you're saying, which would lead to the question to memory about winning hearts and minds and about beating a movement. But I also just wanted to ask, is anyone aware that our anti-rights friends, talking to the African Union about a draft African charter on family, values, and sovereignty? Can I see some hands? How many people knew that? You just found out today. Has anyone seen it? No. You should read. You should take a look at it. If you want it, come and talk to me before lunch. But it's really important what is being said, because if other people are going to the African Union to push for an African charter on family, on values, and on sovereignty, and a lot of this is also being funded by our people from over there, it's quite important that we also have a counterforce to that, because how do we respond? We can't wait until the heads of states pass it. Then we're like, oh no, right? We have to do something. So that comes to you, Memory, because we know that Femnet has been a platform for African women's rights activists, for feminists. I mean, we're celebrating 30 years of Beijing this year, and Femnet was a force for that, for the Beijing platform of action, for us being able to talk about the girl child in the Beijing platform for action. So drawing on the work that you've been done in movement building, how do you think this alliance can secure resources, can secure partners that can facilitate and sustain the work we need to do? Over to you, Memory.
Thank you so much, Buki. I hope you allow me to use my camera. I love your energy. I think we need this at a time when the world is really happy like this. So I'll start from where you mentioned the need for us to be in the spaces where it might not be the spaces we want to be.
Memory.
Where we are not
Memory.
Yes.
Yes. I feel we can't properly hear you. I'm not sure if it's a background or if it's your background. You're also breaking up.
Better?
That's much better. Yes, thank you.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right. So thank you so much, Buki. I was just going to start by saying thank you for the energy. I think we need this. We need to be, as activists, we have to be active. And this morning, I think I was listening. I'm like, yes, we are in the room. We need to have a movement that can counter the anti-rights. And I think when we started talking about the need for family law to be prioritized, we had seen how it had been deep prioritized, and Faiz has already spoken how everything around women's rights, it's around the family, and we talk about the personal is political. That personal for us is the family, the diversity in the family. And I think number one, what we need to do and why we are saying we need a feminist alliance, we need all of you to be part of this movement. Because if we are many, then we can counter opposition. If we speak up, if we occupy and use, they are learning from our tactics. So we need to, I think we are in a point where we need to be the ones providing the information because there's a lot of disinformation. We have young boys being groomed from a young age about what masculinities should be, negative masculinities, what families should be like. So we should be out there. We should be occupying the space. And I think more than ever, especially now, you mentioned about how the African Union wants to pass this. We need to raise awareness about it and tell our governments how harmful it is. So more and more we really need to be engaging our governments more and more because at the end of the day they are the ones who are being used in these spaces to advance these well what we are seeing as anti-rights and notions of family which are totally not the notions that we know. And this we our case is very simple because we have to make the case that family law, I mean, in its entirety, looks at issues around divorce, around access to land. So there's an economic link to it. So we have to mobilize more and more in terms of promoting and protecting our family law from a feminist perspective and dismantling these power structures which are within the system. And we do this by reminding our governments that they signed up to Maputo Protocol. They signed up to CEDAW, the UPR, the policies and the mechanisms. We have to make them work. And even most of our constitutions we've seen are very progressive on promoting gender equality and women's rights and girls' rights as well. So I think you're asking what are we doing as feminists. And I think as feminists, one of the things that we really want, I mean, in addition, is to really amplify the collective voice by ensuring that we tap into the shared messaging and communicating more than ever, or also creating and co-creating resource strategies. We need resources to be able to counter what what the anti-rights. I mean, they are funded close to 6 times much more than women's rights and feminist movements as well. And we also need to leverage on the convenings. We have CSW next year, which is focusing on access to justice. Next week in Addis, the ministers, the gender ministers, will be talking about the Common Africa position.
No, maybe it's the anti-rights, our enemies.
To organize. If we go in most the CSW itself is a space for women's rights organizing is already closed.
Memory, are you there? We're losing you. Hmm.
And
Technology.
more regional solidarity. I cannot say we need radical solidarity. We cannot work inside. We need to come together and really, really promote family law from a feminist perspective and put it back in the power of women, put it back in.
Okay, I think memory, I think the tech is working against us. So maybe we can just wrap up there. I think we'll have more of a chance when we're getting questions for you to be able to, wrap up what you were saying. I hope that's okay. Thank you so much, Mary. Can we clap for her? Thank you so much. All right, now you have been listening to some really powerful messages and thoughts, and now we are calling on you. And now I know we're Africans. We like to talk. Yes? And many of us like to make comments and questions. But time is not our friend. So, if you're going to make a comment, you got to make it, what is it? Brief, short, precise, all of the English. So that we can give everybody a chance to be able to either ask their questions or have their comments. You can't do a comment and a question. You got to choose. Today is the day of choices. You can choose a comment or you can choose a question. You can't have both. Is that okay? Yes, thank you. By the power invested in me as a moderator. So, maybe we should start. Do we have anything online? Are there any comments, questions online? Let's give them affirmative action. No? Okay. People online, are you there? Can I see a thumbs up? A heart? A flower? A laugh? Ah, lovely. Thank you. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat. Anybody have any question or comments? Yes, please go for it.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you, Miss Faisat, Samah, Hala, and all of you. Really, the topic was so interesting. My name is Rashida, and I'm from Somalia. All Somali region, both Somaliland and Somalia. If I make my question short, Somalia in general is one of the Muslim and African countries. Still, don't have a family law yet. Somalia remains one of the few Muslim and African countries without formal family law, because of its legal complex. Because of in Somalia they use both constitutional traditional hair and Sharia. That's one of the things that make we have family law. And the Somali women really they are suffering. Me before I was working in the courts as a family lawyer. I see a lot of suffering because of the women cannot take any actions about their rights, whether it comes the divorce or it comes the child custody. So if I come to the conclusion, my question is, how we can advocate in reforming and making family law in Somalia, because of each time we come to conferences like this as a Somalis, we go back home and still we cannot take any kind of actions. So if you can please give us one to two lessons that we can take today from this room and we can apply from Somalia, because of really our Somali women are needed to they get a family law. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that question. It is very much appreciated. I see a hand over here. Thank you to the gentleman who's carrying the mic around.
Thank you much for this opportunity. Ms. Winnie, I would like to stand on all existing protocols. This is a brief question. I like this launch. I like this opinion. And I am coming from northern part of Uganda. Now my question is, how do we establish the law? How do we enforce this? Sorry.
Sorry, hold on. Can we get a better mic? Because we need it for the translators, not just for us in the room. Faisal, can I borrow your mic?
Thank you. Yes, being one of the beneficiary and the coalition member, and also a victim of the family law misuse. I've always been thinking of how to get rid of this suffering in our villages, in a place where women are suffering and their voices are always brought down. So how do you help me to go and bring this change? Because I need help. I need to go and enforce this. I need to go and help these people. So how do I get into this system? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Do we have any other questions or comments? Oh, yes. Okay.
صباح الخير عليكم.
Good morning to you. I am Hiam. My question is for Faiza.
تمام.
Okay. My question is for Faiza. She talked that they worked with coalitions. I want to know, did they face any challenges? And if yes, what were the challenges and how they overcame them so that we learn from their experiences given our situation in Sudan?
Shukran. All right. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, we have another question.
Okay, so I'm going to take one more, I think, just for us to have enough time for you all to respond. Yes.
طيب أنا هديل من السودان.
I'm Hadil from Sudan. In addition to my colleagues' words, in Sudan we have one of the worst personal status laws. We have a problem with its name itself. They are dealing us with a personal status law, not a family law. This tells us that the way they look at the family, there are so many rights absent there. One of the worst laws in the region, in the Arabic world or Africa, we compared our law to other laws because we are also governed by Sharia law. We have a personal status law, and it is derived from the Islamic Sharia. And more ironically, the state is Islamic. They have a certain sector in Sudan in the previous 30 years governed by Islamists. They chose the worst Islamic sector, and they drove from which the provisions of our law. And one of those who participated in this, unfortunately, was a woman. The law is unjust and allows all violations against women. Women in Sudan are criminalized by this law. We have historical complicated problems in Sudan. We are all suffering from it. The feminists, the workers, housewives. This law is oppressing us in the transitional period since we participated in the revolution. We believe that we would succeed in changing. A committee was established and some political and feminist women were included in this committee, and they worked on a law. It's to some extent it's good. Unfortunately, a coup was carried out, and here comes my question. For us, we consider them as political allies and supporters in passing the laws. They were the same people who turned against women and put the law in under the table, and we lost the opportunity to make the law. It was painful because it was the result of several years. I thought that we would have a law. Now we lost hope. My question is regarding political alliances. How in your experiences created male champions, those who are affiliated to political parties. This is what we face in Sudan, and what hinders us from making the change. They could change anything, but when it came to women laws, they would say that society would not.
You did comment and question, but in a different language, so I can't stop you. Okay, Mama, yeah, the last person. If there's no one online.
Excuse me.
Yes, you have to use the mic.
Joyce Otite from Uganda, Northern Region.
Okay.
I'm asking you, let me ask you in law. If somebody's there can interpret.
Okay, go ahead, Mama. We're ready.
Penya tiene amane. Wana tio loenya tek. Become family laws. Become domestic violence. You interpret. Otio loenya tek. Become family laws. Become domestic violence.
We are fighting as Northerners against this family law violence, misuse, and human rights in Northern Uganda.
Kita me ponya wakere utio tim. Ento onwatia penyi kera kwai a penyi. Nikono ena wana tio loenya teki. Ikope kom nyomere chon koringo kerena wakakobija. Kono duanwa.
Let her translate.
Okay, as you trained us, we are using the strategies you gave us. But now my question is about the human.
Kono duanwa ni ene. Itwero chwalo bot government nyo itwero kwanyo wan jo wan wangere. Itetero wa bot tatuong lobo. Otako beneba wana tio loenya tek down to juiko. Ento tigi nora chiela me otina me kwano lo tia timo. Jai kono government ramo kenge wa jai. Keregi noro ngweani.
Yes, our concern is now that we are fighting so hard, but there are some uneducated youths who are really misusing drugs. How do you help us to voice ourselves to the president of our nation, so that there should be a way to really help those uneducated guys?
Bien. Awano tio loen kucha. Wano nuo mia kobaman. O wari nyimwa hatuna ngwen. Kun jono bero madjay. Kao maro jay. We don't tebero traumatized. Pera do tenga yongo mea tema. Kari do dika do makete korengo tere yecha. Penge okenor. Ngo miero tem chwal tuan wawono.
It's because these drug abusers, they don't mind about the police. Even if you take them to the court, even if you take them to jail, the brains, you can't even use themselves very well. In fact, they ignore the police, and it has really come to a notice that there's nothing even the police can do about this. Really, I myself, I have seen this. Yes.
Thank you. Can you clap for her for translating? Because we did not ask her to. All right, quick.
Very quick. My name is Firdous. I am also from Somaliland. My question is to you, Faisal. I know you have been working a lot for so long time on advocating women's rights. Have you ever get tired? And if yes, how do you regain your energy?
Very quick. I'm so proud of you. All right. I don't see any questions online at all. But it seems we are asking you a lot of questions around lessons that people can use, strategies that they can use in particular, and then also, the work with governments, enforcing laws. So it seems it's really all around those questions across the different contexts, because sometimes Africa is a country. So I'm going to now start with Faiza, Sama, Hala, and then we'll come to you, Memory, and you can use this to wrap up as you respond to the questions.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, there's a question online. Apologies. Wow, you came in real last minute. But it's okay. We love you anyway. All right, Susan Kemanzi, what are the unique interventions in this family law? So I feel like it's still all around the same thing. So over to you. Kick us off.
Thank you. Thank you all for the questions. Sudan. آسف أنا عربي مش قوية علشان كذا but I'm a graduate of Ahfad University in Omdurman, so I have a heart for what's going on in Sudan. We went through the same thing in Somalia, where we had warlords basically who are fighting over power at the expense of the lives of so many, citizens, including, the vulnerable populations. And so many peace conferences were held for the Somali warlords and other leaders, but nothing was patching. So what made the difference is the civil society coming together and saying we cannot be in this state, and analyzing where the problem is. What can we do? And basically looking at the problem being no peace, no security, and how do we reverse that situation? And who or what are these pillars who are, keeping us in this situation? And one of the pillars, so many pillars were defined. And the next question was, what is the interest of this pillar to hold the situation like this? So, of course, warlords are one of the pillars. Media was one of the pillars defined. International community was one of the pillars defined. Even civil society defined themselves as one of the pillars. The reason being because we're not doing any action to take. So the commitment collectively was, let's act together to change this situation. How do we get rid of these warlords? The warlords always, they come with resources from outside, and some things they steal from the coffers of the national, and in Somalia also they had access to all the ammunitions and that were left by the military that disintegrated. So those were the powers they were using, and as the young boys grow older, they are, recruiting always the young ones, because the young ones, will just follow them. Others will question things as they go older. So it took basically a women's coalition to come together. Now I'm talking about the South. Somaliland was a different scenario. But in the South is where the problem of the warlords existed. And it took, therefore, the coalition of women, grassroots organizations to come together and bring other civil society organizations to do this analysis together, and then reach out to different stakeholders, including elders, to do something. And so they came up with different tactics, different approaches to address it. And for me, one of the things was creating space for, just reflection. Why are all these peace conferences failing? And bringing anyone who says I'm a politician and interested in power to come together. And when I saw some important people who you could hardly know but hear about how they are powerful and are behind these warlords were coming to those spaces, is when I realized we are actually on the right path in terms of bringing change. Yeah.
And then you look for opportunities also. And the opportunities are the ones that you can capitalize on to propel the solutions you are looking for. So when the Djibouti government, the president said he's convening a reconciliation conference for Somalis, there was a delegation from the civil society who want to see him and requested that if that's what's happening, then every Somali should come as an individual. They should not carry any hats, meaning I'm warlord this or warlord that or leader this. They should all come together as individuals so that we can have a civil society, civilian government eventually coming out of this. So that's how it went. And of course, it was not problem-free when the government was formed. The network that was created, Peace and Human Rights Network, did not stay together. It disintegrated by many members leaving and joining the new government. They took ambassadorialships, they became ministers. So you didn't finish the job by, you just got the government, but you need to carry on, So I can say Somalia now, is better than when we started that conversation and action, but you have to stay the course to the end. Otherwise, it will stay fragile, and which is what it is now. Yeah, and so other actors will also fill the space when you leave it. But when you have the public with you and you convince them, then you stay on course to finish the work. That would be, but we can talk bilaterally about it if you want.
Question about being tired.
Yeah.
When you're tired.
Of course, it is tough, but you have to keep going on because you see that others are hopeful because you are there to support them. And you have solidarity with other organizations, other individuals. You take a break sometimes, go for but I'm glad many young people are here like yourself and are taking forward, so then I can leave this space for you.
So Sama, maybe you can respond to that and also share, what keeps you going when you're tired as well. I think we can all answer that. So.
Yeah, it's the collective. We have to work together. We have to support each other. This is why the network is so important, because we also have to learn from the strategies of other contexts that have worked. I mean, of course, every country has its own context and own strategies that work, but we can learn from each other. And we need that for this collective solidarity. We can't do it alone. So we get energy from coming together like this, and we need to keep going in this way, right? We need to keep coming together because the anti-rights forces, they're mobilizing together as well. They're very smart about that. So we need to go back to feminist collective organizing, mobilizing to support each other through that resilience. And looking at specific contexts where Sharia was mentioned. And this is a huge issue, huh? When you have Muslim family laws, this is why we focus on this as Musawa for many, many years. Because governments use religion as a cover for their own politics. They say, well, this is Islam. We can't touch family laws. It's based on Sharia. You can't touch it. You can't challenge it. And you don't have religious knowledge to challenge it. So this is why Musawa, because we said, no, we're not going to cede this space anymore. We're going to reclaim religious knowledge and also champion the ethics in the Quran, right? Which forms part of the Sharia. So we argue over many years we've been using religious knowledge and frameworks, and we work within the Muslim legal tradition to show governments and authorities that actually throughout history Muslim family laws have been reformed. They can change. It is possible. And guess what? It's happening within Muslim countries, right? This is not a Western idea. This is happening in our societies. Let's learn from the history of reforms that have been possible. We've actually mapped all the reforms that have taken place in the developments in Muslim family laws in the Muslim world. And there's some positive examples. And we use the positive examples when we discuss this with governments, when we train women's rights organizations to use this evidence as part of their ammunition to say, reform has happened, so it is possible, right? Don't tell me it's not possible. And we train women's rights organizations and other civil society actors to use these religious arguments, because again, we always have this argument from government saying, this is Islam, you can't touch this. This is our religion, or this is our culture, you're not allowed to touch this. So we challenge them with religious concepts, with religious frameworks, and we train a lot of organizations to use this. But it takes confidence, right? Knowledge is power. And you need to take the time to understand this religious knowledge, how it's been used against us, and how we can use it for good, to champion equality and justice in family laws. And we try to do that throughout the years. And many people we've trained have used the knowledge work we've done in campaigning for reforms. Whether it's to ban FGM, whether it's to ban child marriage, whether it's to enforce equal divorce rights. It's happened even just recently now in Pakistan. The Supreme Court was looking over a judgment on a woman's right to maintenance. And one of our local partners, and we work a lot with local partners, right, who are on the front lines, they used our knowledge work and cited it. And it was ruled in favor by the Supreme Court of Pakistan. So change is possible. Let's keep going by drawing on the possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That's wonderful to hear the good things that are happening. All right, over to you, Hala.
I mean, I think, do you want to direct the specific questions to me, Buki, or should I respond?
So people are looking for lessons of what have worked in trying to reform family laws, and I'm really just looking for hope, especially at the local level.
Yeah.
As we see, for example, in northern Uganda, and then also what keeps you going when you're tired.
Yeah. So I think what keeps you going when you are tired, and I guess maybe the question is, when you lose hope, when you get frustrated, when you find yourself caught up in this cycle, people like myself and Faiza, we have been in this field for very, very long time. And, 10, 15 years ago, if someone told us that, this is how it's going to be, it would have been extremely, disappointing, because we have seen definitely better days, and we had much hope, in terms of policy reforms when it comes to family law and personal status law and the conditions of women and girls. But we're also learning. And I think, what gives us hope is our capacity to learn. Because every time you fail, or every time things doesn't happen as you expect it to happen, you always have to look at the lesson learned and why it's happening this way. What have we done wrong? How can we make it right? And how can we pass those lessons to the generations, that are coming and who are going to carry the flag forward? And I think it's that, that capacity to learn, it really gives us hope, and it gives us energy and ability to move forward. Because you start rethinking things, and you keep looking at it from a different angle. Because social transformation, political transformation, it doesn't have a recipe, but it's an accumulation of experience that we pass to each others. And I just would like to respond to the colleagues from Sudan and from Uganda that, the worst things, and this is something as painful as it is, to do is to assume that others can do the job in our behalf as women advocates and as women who understand the challenges ahead of us. The assumption that things can be done better by male politicians who have, the patriarchy in their DNA, and it's really something that we shouldn't, accept. It's okay to negotiate with, and to be very strategic about it. But we also have to understand, that those actors, they don't have the interest in on women being empowered. And that takes us back to the whole issue that, the struggle for equal family law, it's a struggle for democracy, and it's a struggle for equality. And that's such a difficult and complex struggle. It's not going to be handed in easily. So yes. It's very important to be very strategic, to understand all the actors around us, including the international community, as African women, as well. And as women from the South, that's another layer of struggle on our shoulder, because, overall, we are also trapped on the circles of new colonialism and exploitations and all these issues. So it's very important not to be naive about our surroundings and to understand, who's who, and to be very strategic as we are navigating this space. And I think that exercise, it takes time to unpack, but it's also very, very important, to go through. And overall, I just want to conclude with this book, which is, I think it's very, very important. A very critical element of the struggle that, first of all, we have to fight for our agency. So any work that should be done for us, as African women, as women in the South, it should be done by us and not by anyone else. It shouldn't be done by, someone who's coming from the global north. It should be us who are doing that. And that's the first step. It should be us who are at the front line. It should be us who are in control of the resources, and it should be us who are responsible of allocations of the resources, which is not a charity, as we all know, and understand. It's our right, to have access, to resources that enable us, to fight for justice and equality. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hala. Very powerful. And it has to be us, nothing without us, for us. All right. Memory, are you there? Any?
Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. Hello,
I can hear
Buki?
you.
Okay,
Yes.
fantastic. Yeah.
You're muted. Memory, you're muted.
Oh, okay.
You're back.
Sorry. Yeah. I think just to add on, some of the examples that we have used as Femnet, of course, also with the SOA coalition, is having joint campaign. I think putting it out there is so important. I'll give an example of the Justice Police how when you start campaigns, it is equally important. But at the same time, we also need to work with the lawyers who are actually doing the work, the women in the judiciary, who also push for the laws that we trying to reform and to transform. So recently we had a convening for women in law and leadership, and it was quite interesting because we know Women Lawyers Association have always been doing the work, but I think it's also important to start recruiting the networks of women lawyers and also allies who can actually push some of the laws, and they might not call themselves family law practitioners, but I mean, we really need to tap into that continuously as well, working with human rights lawyers for strategic litigation, for creating jurisprudence on some of the family laws that we see. Another element is our dual legal system, which we all know steams. We've talked about Sharia law, but there's also some of the traditional cultural laws, and we see this like courts, like the emergence of cultural courts. I'll speak about Zimbabwe, for example, how there are alternative justice resolution mechanisms where chiefs actually resolve some of the cases that are happening. I mean, if there's a dispute in the family, the first access to justice that most women have, particularly in rural areas, is to go to their local chief or traditional leader, is to go to their local pastor, imam, and those are the people who are the ones who are actually implementing law, family law, at yeah, at an individual. So I think it's also working with traditional religious partners. I think that has already been said, but also finding ways for women to be actually leading. I mean, in most countries, women are not even traditional chiefs, for example, or traditional leaders, because in countries where it's very patriarchal. So it's also important to maybe find ways. The example for Zimbabwe is, for example, in those traditional courts, they also have legal aid or legal lawyers, advisors, and they also train those traditional leaders who are overseeing some of those cases. But I think more and more is to also try and make sure that there are also women who are part of taking care of some of those cases. I think another element just to say is I think it's also important to keep documenting and highlighting the transformative action that women in law have been doing. Recently, we were with the first Chief Justice of Ethiopia, and she mentioned how when she was the Chief Justice, she created courts for women, courts for children, special representatives. And I think it's important for us to be documenting, celebrating, but also highlighting what can be done and what can be learned from others. So what does this mean? It means that we must have demands for the women who actually go into, I mean, we're going to have um, women who are elected into this position. So I think it's important to also ensure that we have demands as a movement. As soon as they're appointed, these are our demands. This is what we want from you. But where women are not appointed, but it's also to bring accountability to even the men who will be occupying those positions. So having our demands is also very important. Of course, we talk a lot about data, but I think sharing the lived realities and experiences is still important. I think the last thing that I just wanted to mention, and because you're in Nigeria, is also the effect of how social media is, I think for us, that's where it's going to be the game changer. And using, for example, influencers like Nollywood, for example, in terms of how they're portraying women and how women's law is required. And I think that really changes and is quicker in terms of transforming societies towards law. And I'm gonna share there's a document, there's a movie actually or film which is called Dry, the movie by Stephanie Linus. She's an award-winning Nigerian actress and producer, and she actually did this production a while ago, but in memory of Achanya. Um, if you know about Justice for Achanya, and I mentioned Justice for Liz, which was really started by the women's movement, and this has been used as a campaign. And today it's also being used in different countries. So I'll share the link. The movie is called Dry. Please use it. She didn't pay me to promote it, but I think just to put the point that we really need to also think of alternative ways that we can use. And yeah, what keeps me going, I think we need healing spaces more and more. We need to make our feminist spaces be the spaces where we can re-energize. I think there's so much that we are fighting. Sometimes we end up being cannibalistic and fighting each other. But I think at the end of the day, if anything, what we need is that sisterhood. We need to call in. We need to be much more kinder. And I think for me, that's what I also get from my sisters, having that intergenerational dialogue and solidarity. Yeah. Thanks. Back to you, Buki. Hi, Buki. Back to you. I hope you could hear what I was saying.
I don't think I can hear anything.
Yeah, me too. I hope you could hear something. I hope.
I think the panel is ending. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So I don't know. I hope they heard what I said, but
No, I have heard it very clearly, and I think they did. Yeah. We can't hear the facilitator. It's written to them. There is no volume. We cannot hear.
I don't know if is someone in the room, maybe they can let Buki know or Pfizer.
I think the panel is over, so I'm not sure if I should be here anymore.
See? She's already a member. Be like Nafisa. Be like Nafisa. All right. And then in preparation, sound is back. Woo! I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry, can I get a mic so that we can? Oh, I have a mic. The benefits of being tall next to my mother.
Yeah, thank you. I'm asking, you say only to be a member, is it regional or national?
Yes.
So I'm asking for like coalition at the national level. Can be that?
Oh, that's a great question. Can someone answer that? If your network, but can you be a member? Yes. Yes. So if you're a regional or national network in the grassroots, yes, you can be a member. They're nodding their head, yes. But thank you for that question. That's important. Okay. Beautiful. All right. So, can you please take out your phones and point it at the screen? Because everybody has internet, right? Yes. No? No? Yes. Maybe. Okay. Point it at the screen. That thing there. People online, are you with me? Fantastic. So, can you join that thing? Yes, 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 yes. Tell me, what are you seeing? My sister in red. I'm feeling your energy this morning. Tell me what you're seeing.
Thank you so much. I've seen that online application form notice application can fill out the form online or download and send it via email.
Yes. So you can fill it out online or you can download it and fill it out. Yeah. Great. Oh, we need to display again? Okay, hold on. But let me just quickly do this. We'll leave it on the screen. Okay, so as you can see, it's a very easy application form. We promise we're not going to ask for your PIN number or your bank account. We just need you to fill it out. Oh, okay. The QR code. I think that's, you got to put the QR code back. Okay, here we go. You have 60 seconds. Have people been able to download? Let me test it as well. Okay, it's working. Yep. Did you get it? Let me try. Maybe it just needs to be close. He's gonna try. But have people been able to do it? So we can troubleshoot for those who don't have it? No, some people don't have it. Okay. All right. So just the application form, very easy, very simple. We will just need the name of your institution, the type of institution, the countries or the regions that you work in, who would be the focal point, their email, what area of family law or issues your organization works on, and then we will just ask you to also share documents, links to any of the work that you've done in particular, and then go through what area of family law best describes your work. And then if there's any intersecting women's rights issues like unpaid care work, harmful traditional practices, ensuring you're aligning with the goals and objectives, which ones? And then, just also share in 200 words or less why you would like to be a member. So very easy. Shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes to do it, or 5 minutes. Hey, 5 minutes is very optimistic. But 5 to 10 minutes, you can do this and fill it out. If you can't download it, you can definitely write to the email there and be able to get it. Yeah? And they've also shared the links as well for people to be able to access it. So, and please, if you have any concerns, can I see the strategy group? Can you wave your hand? The strategy group for the Alliance? Strategy group for the Alliance, wave, put your hand up. So if you have any questions, go to them. They will answer willingly, happily. All right. So thank you, everyone. Can we clap for the Alliance for this membership launch? Well done. Congratulations. Please become a member today. Maybe they might give you a notebook if you join. Yes. All right. Thank you all so very much. So now is the time for thank yous. Yeah? We would like to say thank you to all, and every time I mention a group, you just clap. You ready? Okay, to the directors who we heard them speak, thank you so much for your hard work and for getting it to this point. And then the strategy working group, well done for all of your efforts. And to you, and to you online, clap for yourselves. People, we must appreciate ourselves. Clap for yourself. Can we also really thank CIHA Network, who made it possible in terms of the organizing, the sponsoring, and the supporting, and also for giving the Alliance a recognition award. Congratulations. So well done. And then you people should also clap for me. Did I try? I tried. Yeah, thank you very much. But I couldn't have done it without all of you. You're the wind beneath my wings. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. Please become a member. And more than anything else, please, this work matters so much. It is so critical, so important now more than ever. And I do think, as I'm going to borrow the words of Hala, that this is also a fight for our democracy, right? Many of us are losing trust in the kind of governance systems that we have. But if we can fight for family laws, then we can ensure that we all are actually able to actually participate in our countries. And maybe, just maybe, we could also do the work that the women who did 30 years ago for Beijing can do for our communities. Thank you all so much and have a good rest of the day. And I believe there's lunch as well, right? So please eat their food before you go. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Is that? Oh, group photo outside so you can, oh no, group photo. Group photo over here. So please dance your way to the front. Are you sure people can fit over here? My brother, how are people going to fit here? Oh, wow. Some of us are far from the ground, but no problem. Okay, so please let's move to this side of the room.